Hello and welcome back. I have really been enjoying Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. And her voice in this book, in my head, sounds very much like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. A wall and a bridge. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Not to be confused with Phoebe Bridgers, the singer. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Fleabag was such a good show, but for some reason, I don't know if she keeps breaking. Is there a third wall? Is there a fourth wall in books? And what is that called? God, I'm really bad at that. First person, second person, third person. I'm just bad at literary terms versus movie terms. And are they the same? Is there a fourth wall? Is there a fourth Waller Bridge in books? In books? A fourth wall exists in literature and is often broken by authors to directly engage the reader. This concept originates from theater, where it refers to an imaginary wall separating. Okay. Is there a term for it? Direct address. Character might say, "Reader, I am married." Oh, I married him, as in Jane Eyre. Ooh. A narrator might insert comments or asides, like me reading Jane Austen or The Princess Bride. That's fun. I don't remember when that happened. Metafication, a story where the characters are aware they are in a book, as seen in some works by Kurt Vonnegut. Whoa. Wow. Kurt Vonnegut. He was like a beatnik, right? Was he like a beatnik? Boy. Man, I'm watching this. Oh, so many thoughts today. We'll read. I just want to get some stuff off my chest. I was in the bath today. And I'm watching this show called SAS Rogue Warriors? SAS Rogue. It's about the SAS in World War II, and it got me thinking of that time. I've had so many thoughts today, and I'm like, I need to write them down and make a novel out of it. Not that this is novel-worthy, but I was going over this little bridge in our town, and it was from 1917 it was established. And I was just thinking about, that's not that long ago, and everything in America happened not that long ago compared to stuff like in England and everywhere else in the world. I mean, and then I was like, what if nobody conquered anything? And what if there were never any boats? And who even had the first idea of a boat anyway? And how dare you think you can cross an ocean in a little tiny wooden boat? And did they get that idea from floating logs, or how did they get that idea? Because people back before there was a word for displacement certainly thought about displacement, but just not with the words. So the Bird by Bird has really gotten me into writing, and not journaling, but like I want to sit and write, and it's just hard for me to have ritual around anything. I can't bring myself to have a ritual every day. Even the smallest thing, I just can't. I don't know if is that mental illness? I know everybody wants a freaking diagnosis these days, but like, this is the only thing that I do almost every day, and I don't even do it every day. And I love to read, and it's so nice to have this as a ritual, but I can't even do this every day. If Brian's here, or if SAS Rogue Heroes, that's what it's called. It's about World War II. The Special Air Services. Tea, like a tea kettle. I made myself some ginger lemon tea today, and it does look like somebody tinkled into a cup, so I did put it in a mug that is not see-through, so that people didn't think I was drinking urine. What if nobody was conquered? What if nothing was ever invented? And then I was like, well, that means that fire could have never been invented. That means like literally nothing. Like invention necessary, and invention is necessary, but why, we just went too far. I feel like we've gone too far. Is there any going back to simpler times like World War II? Like, not that that was simple times at all, but you know, No phones, no nada. Just looking at a map to get somewhere and no GPS. I don't know. We've gone too far too fast. And I'm having melancholy because I can't even do a ritual every day. My ritual every day is going on my phone. Oh man, just in real time, I just realized that. The ritual that I am addicted to and do every day is going on my phone. That's unconscious. So we're reading Emma. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing on this channel. I'm reading Emma by Jane Austen. This was during the American Revolution and the French Revolution. Back when the Industrial Revolution hadn't happened. So even this was like even more simpler times than like 100 years ago. Because they didn't have to go anywhere really for their food, right? I mean, they just had their own little farms. And they had their own little pigs. They just gave Mrs. Bates and Miss Bates a hind of a pork. And Mr. Woodhouse thought it would be good to boil it. I don't know. That sounded... I was like, a roast. And he was like, not a roast. Which is funny. We just found out that Mr. Elton did in fact get married to a Miss Hawkins. Do we know her first name? Oh, it's right here. Chapter 4, Volume 2, Chapter 4 of Emma. Augusta is her name. Augusta Hawkins. Mr. Elton. That's the last time I'm going to do that. That's it. Mr. Elton has married the charming Augusta Hawkins, and Emma had to tell Harriet, because Harriet just ran into Mr. Martin. Oh, God, awkward. And it was raining outside, and she was like, I'm stuck in here because of the rain, and then it let up just a little bit. She's like, I gotta go. So now you're all caught up, and we're going to read today Chapter 4, Volume 2, technically Chapter 22 of Emma. Ooh, I think this is going to be a fun chapter already. Human nature is so well disposed towards those who are in interesting situations that a young person who either marries or dies is sure of being kindly spoken of. Whoa. Human nature is so well disposed toward those who are in interesting situations that a young person who either marries or dies is sure of being kindly spoken of. Wow. A week had not passed since Miss Hawkins's name was first mentioned in Highbury, before she was, by some means or other, discovered to have every recommendation of person and mind, to be handsome, elegant, highly accomplished, and perfectly amiable. And when Mr. Elton himself arrived to triumph in his happy prospects, circulate the fame of her merits, there was very little more for him to do than to tell her Christian name and say whose music she principally played. Ooh, I'd love to know whose music she principally played. We haven't heard anything about who plays what. That's fun. Mr. Elton returned a very happy man. He had gone away rejected and mortified by Emma, disappointed in a very sanguine hope, after a series of what had appeared to him strong encouragement, and not only losing the right lady, but finding himself debased to the level of a very wrong one. Debased. He had gone away deeply offended. He came back engaged to another, and to another as superior, of course, to the first, as under such circumstances what is gained always is to what is lost. He came back gay. Jane Austen is LGBTQ+. She's an ally. He came back gay and self-satisfied, eager and busy, caring nothing for Miss Woodhouse, and defying Miss Smith The charming Augusta Hawkins. She must be German. Augustus Gloop's sister, Augusta Hawkins. The charming Augusta Hawkins, in addition to all the usual advantages of perfect beauty and merit, was in possession of an independent fortune, good for her, of so many thousands as would always be called 10. Of so many thousands as would always be called 10. That's going down in history as a sentence that I love. Oh my god, where did I go? Where am I? 10. Give me the word 10. Here it is. A point of some dignity as well as some convenience. The story told well. He had not thrown himself away. He had gained a woman of £10,000, or thereabouts, and he had gained her with such delightful rapidity. The first hour of introduction had been so very soon followed by distinguishing notice. The history which he had to give Mrs. Cole of the rise and progress of the affair was so glorious. The steps so quick from the accidental rencounter. But it says rencontre. Rencontre, I need a French dictionary also. I need to buy a French dictionary also. Rencontre. In English, encounter. Great. Ooh. Ooh. Rencontre. It's just... Rencontre. French is hard. Why does it feel so hard? Rencontre. I have to do... It's not even an sound. It's a rencontre. Okay. I'm going to read every day, and I'm going to take French every day, and Spanish, and Mandarin. That's what I'm going to do every day. Those are my rituals. Maybe I set the bar too high. Don't journal, just write. I think writing would be such a therapeutic. Just write. That's what she's saying in this book, Bird by Bird. Just write. And you'll write, and she keeps a little 1-inch picture frame, because you need to just write something like that fits into a 1-inch picture frame. Josh Waitzkin has a book. He's the kid that was searching for Bobby Fischer. His name's Josh Waitzkin. He's from New York. And he said, making smaller circles. And that feels like very much like that. Just do a 1-inch, 1 paragraph. 4 pages on one subject. Make it one subject. And then the 4th page is like, ooh, there's a great paragraph in that page. But you couldn't get to that page until you wrote the other 3 pages. So you just have to write. I'm excited. Stay tuned. Okay, I did stop many times in this one sentence. And it's obviously, because it's Jane Austen, it is semicolons. But I am going to start over. The charming Augusta Hawkins, in addition to all the usual advantages of perfect beauty and merit, was in possession of an independent fortune of so many thousands as would always be called 10. A point of some dignity as well as some convenience. The story told well. He had not thrown himself away. He had gained a woman of £10,000 or thereabouts. And he had gained her with such delightful rapidity. The first hour of introduction had been so very soon followed by distinguishing notice. The history which he had to give Mrs. Cole of the rise and progress of the affair was so glorious. The steps so quick from the accidental rencontre to the dinner at Mr. Green's and the party at Mrs. Brown's. This is feeling like Clue. Are we in the movie Clue? Are we in the movie, the game Clue? Smiles and blushes rising in importance. With consciousness and agitation richly scattered, the lady had been so easily impressed, so sweetly disposed, had, in short, to use a most intelligible phrase, been so very ready to have him, that vanity and prudence were equally contented. Right place, right time. When a door closes, the window opens, babe. That's all that is. He had caught both substance and shadow. Ooh. Both fortune and affection. And was just the happy man he ought to be, talking only of himself and his own concerns. That's kind of funny too. Only happy men only talk about themselves and their own concerns. Okay, second time. It's just coming forward, so I'm just gonna hold it. Expecting to be congratulated, ready to be laughed at, and with cordial, fearless smiles, now addressing all the young ladies of the place, to whom a few weeks ago he would have been more cautiously gallant. This is very small town vibes to me. He just had to get out of his small town and he really flourished. And Emma is that one girl in that small town who everybody has to, like, pay homage to. The wedding was no distant event, as the parties had only themselves to please, and nothing but the necessary preparations to wait for. And when he set out for Bath again, there was a general expectation which a certain glance of Mrs. Cole's did not seem to contradict, that when he next entered Highbury, he would bring his bride. During his present short stay, Emma had barely seen him, but just enough to feel that the first meeting was over, and to give her the impression of his not being improved by the mixture of pique and pretension now spread over his air. She was, in fact, beginning very much to wonder that she had ever thought him pleasing at all, and his sight was so inseparably connected with some very disagreeable feelings that, except in a moral light and as a penance, a lesson, a source of profitable humiliation to her own mind, she would have been thankful to be reassured of never seeing him again. She wished him very well, but he gave her pain, and his welfare, 20 miles off, would administer most satisfaction. The pain of his continued residence in Highbury, however, must certainly be lessened by his marriage. Many vain solicitudes would be prevented, many awkwardnesses smoothed by it. A Mrs. Elton would be an excuse for any change of intercourse. Former intimacy would sink without remark. It would be almost beginning their life of civility again. Of the lady individually, Emma thought very little. She kind of feels very little of everybody, huh? That's what I'm hearing. I tend to do that sometimes too. God, Jane, you're so right. It's like these snap judgments where you're like, oh, I don't like this about the person. But yeah, and then everybody's like, but they were so nice and they were really smart in this. And you're like, yeah, there's something off. Play it cool, everybody. Play it cool. She was good enough for Mr. Elton, no doubt. Accomplished enough for Highbury. Handsome enough to look plain, probably, by Harriet's side. As to connection, there Emma was perfectly easy. Persuaded that after all his own vaunted claims and disdain of Harriet, he had done nothing. On that article, truth seemed attainable. What she was must be uncertain, but who she was might be found out. And setting aside the £10,000, it did not appear that she was still at all Harriet's superior. She brought no name, no blood, no alliance. Miss Hawkins was the youngest of the two daughters of a Bristol merchant, of course, he must be called. But as the whole of the profits of his mercantile life appeared so very moderate, it was not unfair to guess the dignity of his line of trade had been very moderate also. Well, then how did she inherit £10,000? Part of every winter she had been used to spend in Bath, but Bristol was her home, the very heart of Bristol. For though the father and mother had died some years ago, and uncle remained in the law line, nothing more distinctly honourable was hazarded of him than that he was in the law line. Like he's a lawyer, or like he has to inherit everything because he's a man? And with him the daughter had lived, I see. Emma guessed him to be the drudge of some attorney, and too stupid to rise. Emma, my God. And all the grandeur of the connection seemed dependent on the elder sister, who was very well married to a gentleman in a great way near Bristol, who kept 2 carriages! ! That was the wind-up of the history. That was the glory of Miss Hawkins. Could she but have given Harriet her feelings about it all? She had talked her into love, but alas, she was not so easily to be talked out of it. The charm of an object to occupy the many vacancies of Harriet's mind was not to be talked away. Whoa. The charm of an object to occupy the many vacancies of Harriet's mind was not to be talked away. That should go in the insult book. That's so funny to me. The vacancies. There are many vacancies in your mind, huh? He might be superseded by another. He certainly would indeed. Nothing could be clearer. Even a Robert Martin would have been sufficient, but nothing else, she feared, would cure her. Harriet was one of those who, having once begun, would be always in love. And now, poor girl, she was considerably worse from this reappearance of Mr. Elton. She was always having a glimpse of him somewhere or other. Emma saw him only once, but 2 or 3 times a day Harriet was sure just to meet with him, or just to miss him, just to hear his voice, or see his shoulder, just to have something occur to preserve him in her fancy, in all the favourable warmth of surprising conjecture. She was, moreover, perpetually hearing about him. For excepting when at Hartfield, she was always among those who saw no fault in Mr. Elton, and found nothing so interesting as the discussion of his concerns, and every report, therefore, every guess, all that had already occurred, all that might occur in the arrangement of his affairs, comprehending income, servants, and furniture, was continually in agitation around her. Her regard was receiving strength by invariable praise of him, and her regrets kept alive, and feelings irritated by ceaseless repetitions of Miss Hawkins's happiness, and continual observation of how much he seemed attached. His air as he walked by the house, the very sitting of his hat, being all in proof of how much he was in love. Had it been allowable entertainment, had there been no pain to her friend, or reproach to herself, in the waverings of Harriet's mind, Emma would have been amused by its variations. Sometimes Mr. Elton predominated, sometimes the Martins, and each was occasionally useful as a check to the other. Mr. Elton's engagement had been the cure of the agitation of meeting Mr. Martin. The unhappiness produced by the knowledge of that engagement had been a little put aside by Elizabeth Martin's calling at Mrs. Goddard's a few days afterwards. Oh. Harriet had not been at home, but a note had been prepared and left for her, written in the very style to touch, a small mixture of reproach with a great deal of kindness. Until Mr. Elton himself appeared, she had been much occupied by it, continually pondering over what could be done in return, and wishing to do more than she dared to confess. But Mr. Elton in person had driven away all such cares. While he stayed, the Martins were forgotten. And on the very morning of his setting off for Bath again, Emma, to dissipate some of the distress it occasioned, judged it best for her to return Elizabeth Martin's visit. How that visit was to be acknowledged, what would be necessary, and what might be safest, had been a point of some doubtful consideration. Absolute neglect of the mother and sisters, when invited to come, would be ingratitude. It must not be, and yet the danger of a renewal of the acquaintance. After much thinking, she could determine on nothing better than Harriet's returning the visit, but in a way that, if they had understanding, should convince them that it was to be only a formal acquaintance. She meant to take her in the carriage, leave her at the Abbey Mill, while she drove a little farther, and call for her again so soon as to allow no time for insidious applications or dangerous recurrences to the past, and give the most decided proof of what degree of intimacy was chosen for the future. She could think of nothing better, and though there was something in it which her heart could not approve, something of ingratitude merely glossed over, it must be done, or what would become of Harriet? She would live happily ever after. You mean what would become of you? Is that what you really mean, Emma? What would become of you? Because you think that would be a failure? Come to my office hours today, Emma, and we can have a chat. Wow. What a dazzling, dizzying tale. It's all giving me so much to think about. Join me next time for Chapter 5 of Volume 2 of Emma. Emma Volume 2, Chapter 5. Wow. I have these playing cards sitting right here and nobody to play them with. I gotta figure out people to play these 5 card games from her novels that I got for my birthday. Can you even believe it? Well, whatever it is you're reading, enjoy, and maybe we can all start a little writing club together, and we can just write every day, and then we can read what we've written, even if it's terrible. How embarrassing. I'm ready for it. Happy reading, everybody. Thank you so much all for watching, whoever you are. And Andrea, thank you so much for commenting so much, my dear. It's been so nice. You're from Texas, and now I just want to have a Texas accent. Everybody, happy reading, whatever it is you're reading, and ta-da!